You probably know someone like Derek. Honestly, maybe you are Derek. Derek makes around $95,000 a year. Nice apartment, good neighborhood, clean wardrobe, leased car sitting downstairs that still smells new when the sun hits it, weekends out with friends, vacation photos every few months. From the outside, Derek looks like someone who figured life out early. But here's the part nobody sees. Derek has $600 in savings. That's it. Not $6,000, $600. One bad dental bill and it goes on a credit card. One unexpected car repair and the whole month gets shaky. One layoff, just one, and within a couple of months, he's back in his childhood bedroom trying to explain to his parents how things got so tight so fast. And the strange part is, Derek isn't irresponsible. That's what makes this uncomfortable. Because Derek is everywhere. Every city, every office building, every income bracket. People quietly maintaining a financial image that looks stable from the outside, while underneath it, there's almost no structural support holding the whole thing.
The numbers around this are honestly disturbing. For years, the Federal Reserve has found that a huge percentage of Americans can't cover even a small emergency expense without borrowing money, selling something, or putting it on debt. And this isn't just happening to low-income households. It's happening to people with good jobs, people with degrees, people making six figures, people who, by all appearances, seem completely fine. And that raises a bigger question. What's actually happening here? Why does financial fragility hide so well in modern life? And maybe more importantly, how do you know whether you're genuinely financially okay or just really good at looking okay? Because those are not the same thing. This video isn't about budgeting hacks. It's not about becoming a millionaire overnight. And it's definitely not another stop buying coffee lecture. This is about 12 signals, 12 quiet indicators that reveal what your financial life actually looks like underneath the surface, and why most people never think to pay attention to them until something breaks. The first signal is the one everybody knows about, and almost nobody truly respects. The emergency fund. People treat it like a milestone. Like once you hit a certain number, you can mentally check the box and move on. That's not what it is. An emergency fund is not a savings achievement. It's a survival buffer. What you're really buying is time. Time where you don't have to panic. Time where one bad month doesn't immediately become debt. Time where you can think clearly instead of making desperate decisions under pressure. Because financial mistakes usually happen when people are scared. 3 months of expenses gives you breathing room. 6 months? Now you actually have options. You can survive a layoff without immediately spiraling. You can walk away from a toxic job. You can handle a medical bill without feeling your chest tighten the second you open the envelope. And people underestimate how valuable that feeling is, because emergencies do not care how much money you make. They care how long you can survive them. That's the real game. And the second signal connects directly to this, your debt-to-income ratio. Not just how much debt you have, the ratio. Because debt by itself means almost nothing without context. Someone making $60,000 a year with $8,000 in debt is living in a completely different reality than someone earning $200,000 while carrying massive car payments, student loans, credit card balances, and a mortgage that quietly eats most of their paycheck before it even lands. And here's the dangerous part. High income hides financial stress extremely well. A person can look successful while being financially cornered from every direction. Nice car, luxury apartment, expensive watch, constant stress. Because once every dollar already has somewhere to go before you even earn it, your income stops being freedom. It becomes maintenance. And a lot of people are trapped there without realizing it. From the outside, they look like they're winning. Inside, they're one interruption away from panic. There's a certain kind of anxiety people almost never admit out loud. Not because it's rare, because it's embarrassing. It usually shows up in small moments. You're standing in line paying for something, and for half a second you mentally calculate what else is supposed to clear this week. Or it's late at night, you open your banking app, stare at the number for a little too long, then start doing quick math in your head. What's pending? Did that subscription already renew? When's the credit card due again? And the weird part is, sometimes the balance isn't even terrible, but you still don't feel safe. That feeling has a name: paycheck anxiety, and it affects far more people than anyone realizes, including people making objectively good money. That's what makes modern financial stress so deceptive. A lot of people assume that once you cross a certain income level, the anxiety disappears. It doesn't. Because paycheck anxiety isn't really about income. It's about margin. It's about whether there's enough space between your obligations and your available cash that your brain can finally relax. A lot of people don't have that space, so money stays in the background of their mind constantly, like a browser tab that never closes, quietly draining attention, quietly draining energy, quietly shaping decisions. And after a while, people get so used to that stress, they mistake it for normal adulthood. It's not. Now layer social media on top of that, and things get even worse. Because comparison used to be local. You compared yourself to neighbors, coworkers, maybe friends. Now you compare yourself to thousands of carefully edited lives every single day. The vacation photos, the apartment upgrades, the "just bought my dream car" post, the luxury dinners, the perfectly framed success. And intellectually, most people know it's curated. But emotionally, your brain still absorbs it. Psychologists call this relative deprivation. But honestly, most people know it by a simpler name: feeling behind, even when you're doing okay. That feeling is incredibly expensive, because people start spending emotionally instead of intentionally. They buy things to feel caught up, to feel successful, to feel worthy, to feel like they're not falling behind everyone else. And the scary part? Most of the people they're trying to impress aren't even paying attention. It becomes this exhausting cycle where people spend money they barely have, trying to maintain an image they don't even fully enjoy anymore. That's one of the biggest financial traps in modern life. Not poverty. Performance. Credit scores are strange. People talk about them almost like they're personality tests. Like an 800 score means you're disciplined and responsible, while a lower score means you failed at adulthood somehow. That's not what a credit score measures. A credit score is simply a prediction tool. It tells lenders how reliably you borrow money and pay it back. That's it. It does not measure intelligence. It does not measure wealth, and it definitely does not measure peace of mind. There are people with excellent credit scores who are drowning in debt, and there are people with average scores quietly sitting on real assets, real savings, and almost no financial stress at all. The number itself is not the goal. The habits behind the number matter. Paying on time, keeping utilization low, not constantly opening new accounts. Those behaviors matter because they reflect stability. But somewhere along the way, people started chasing the score itself instead of the financial life the score was supposed to represent. And that misunderstanding shows up even more clearly with investing, because this is where a huge number of intelligent people accidentally sabotage themselves. They think they need to fully understand investing before they begin, so they wait. They wait until they have more money. Wait until the market feels safer. Wait until they've watched enough videos, read enough books, learned enough terminology. And meanwhile, years pass. That's the real cost. Not making mistakes, waiting too long to start. Because compound growth is brutally dependent on time, not perfection. A basic index fund, consistent contributions, 30 years. That simple approach will outperform most people's complicated, perfect strategy obsession. Not because simple is magical, because consistency is rare. And honestly, this is one of the biggest mindset shifts financially successful people understand. You do not need to be an expert to benefit from investing. You just need to participate long enough. The market rewards patience far more than brilliance. And most people underestimate how powerful that becomes over decades. There's something people don't realize about money until much later in life. Financial knowledge quietly compounds too. Not in a motivational speaker way, in a very practical, expensive way. Because every gap in understanding costs you something. If you don't understand negotiation, you accept salaries lower than you could have earned for years. If you don't understand taxes, you lose money, slowly and invisibly, every single year without even noticing. If you don't understand interest, especially compound interest, you completely misjudge how fast debt grows and how powerful investing becomes over time. And the scary part is that these mistakes rarely feel dramatic in the moment. They feel small. A few thousand here, a bad loan there, an extra percentage point somewhere else. But over 10 or 20 years, those tiny gaps become completely different lives. That's why financial ignorance is dangerous. Not because it makes people stupid, because it creates invisible ceilings. You can't solve problems you don't even know exist. And once income finally starts increasing, another problem appears almost immediately: lifestyle inflation. This is where a lot of high earners quietly destroy their financial future without realizing they're doing it. Here's how it usually happens. Someone gets a raise. Nothing crazy, maybe an extra 10 or 15,000 a year. At first, they feel relieved, finally breathing a little easier, finally feeling rewarded for the hard work. But then, slowly, their lifestyle expands to absorb the new income. The apartment gets upgraded. The car payment gets bigger. Food delivery becomes normal. Subscriptions pile up. Weekend spending stretches a little further every month. And none of it feels reckless individually. That's why it's dangerous. Because almost nobody wakes up one morning and consciously decides, I'm going to trap myself financially. It happens gradually. Comfort becomes normal faster than people expect. Psychologists call this hedonic adaptation. But in real life, it feels more like this. The thing that once felt luxurious quietly becomes your baseline. And once something becomes your baseline, losing it feels painful. That's the trap. A lot of people increase their income without ever increasing their freedom. They just upgrade the size of the machine they have to keep feeding every month. And honestly, this might be one of the biggest differences between people who look wealthy and people who actually build wealth. Wealthy people delay unnecessary upgrades. When income rises, they increase savings first. Not because they hate spending money, because they understand something most people learn too late. Every permanent lifestyle upgrade creates a future bill. And the more future bills you create, the less freedom your income actually gives you. That discipline is hard, really hard, because human beings adapt to comfort unbelievably fast. But financially, that discipline changes everything. Most people were taught to measure financial success using a very specific scoreboard: income, net worth, credit score, investment portfolio. And yes, those things matter, but they don't tell the whole story. Because some of the most important financial metrics in life are invisible. The first one is time. Money that never gives you more control over your life eventually starts feeling hollow. There are people earning hundreds of thousands of dollars a year who are exhausted all the time, working 80-hour weeks, answering emails at midnight, missing time with family, sleeping badly, eating poorly, living in a constant state of stress while technically being successful. And if you ask a lot of those people whether they actually feel wealthy, many of them will quietly say no. Because eventually, real wealth stops being about consumption. It becomes about control. Control over your schedule, your energy, your attention, your choices. The ability to say, I don't have to. That matters more than people think. Real financial progress is when money starts buying back your time instead of consuming all of it. And then there's health. This one almost nobody talks about early enough. The financial cost of poor health is enormous. Not just medical bills. Lost productivity, lost energy, lost years, lost opportunities. People obsess over tiny budget decisions while ignoring the thing that can financially devastate them faster than almost anything else: their body. And unfortunately, by the time many people realize this, the damage is already expensive. But maybe the most important metric of all is the hardest one to measure: peace of mind. The ability to check your bank account without anxiety, to handle an unexpected $1,500 expense without your entire month collapsing emotionally, to go to sleep without that constant low-level financial pressure sitting in the background of your brain. That's not a soft metric. That's the point of all this. That's what money is supposed to give you. And here's the strange truth people eventually discover. Contentment is not the enemy of ambition. It's the foundation of healthy ambition. Because if you constantly need to spend money to feel okay, no amount of income will ever feel like enough. You can earn more and more while still feeling emotionally broke inside. People buy things hoping the purchase will finally create a feeling that actually has nothing to do with money. And it never fully works. The people who quietly build real wealth usually figure out a version of enough earlier than everyone else. Not because they stopped caring, because they stopped trying to use money to repair emotional discomfort. That changes everything. They save aggressively because they genuinely don't need constant upgrades to feel successful. That's not deprivation. That's clarity. And Derek, the guy from the beginning of this video, isn't failing because he doesn't earn enough money. He's financially fragile because every signal around him keeps teaching him to perform success instead of build stability. And honestly, that's not just a Derek problem. That's modern culture. But the good news is, you can opt out of it. The moment you start paying attention to these signals, you begin seeing money differently. And once you see it clearly, it becomes very hard to go back to the illusion. If this video made you reflect on even one area of your own financial life, then it did its job. And if you want more videos like this, thoughtful, honest conversations about money and modern life, subscribe. I'll see you in the next one.